Why don't we talk about India's farmers? Because this is the biggest protest ever in human. You guys know the number? How many people protested? 250 million people participated in a protest.
Basically, every adult in the United States.
Basically, every adult in the United States is 150. Every working adult in the United States is 150. 250 million people protested in India. This is ridiculous. Why India's farmers are protesting for nearly 2 weeks, tens of thousands of Indian farmers have camped out around New Delhi to protest a set of new farm bill passed by country's parliament in September. Thousands more from the neighboring states of Haryana, Punjab, and Uttar Pradesh look set to join in coming days, even as police try to block them from entering the city. These protests are not isolated movement. On November 26, an estimated 250 million citizens participated in a 24-hour general strike held to challenge the new laws. 24-hour on November 26. The magnitude of the protest should not be a surprise. Agriculture employs about half of Indian workforce, although it accounts for only 1/6 of India's GDP. Some of India's farmers are among the country's poorest people, but government policies have long protected them from the ravages of open market prices. They can now enter contracts with private companies, a practice known in India as contract farming, and sell those, but some of them are hoarding. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Obviously, India's millions of farmers are clearly angry. They believe the new rules will open them to exploitation by giant companies. And as Barakta Dut writes in Washington Post, there's broad national sympathy for the protest. The moral force of the Indian farmer cannot be underestimated, she argues, describing scenes of the elderly protest, spreading blankets under the wheels of their trucks to sleep in the cold winter. There is subliminal collective guilt at the sight of farmers. Thoughts?
Man, my heart goes out to them. I mean, these people are making on average $140 a month. And you're thinking to yourself here in America, well, these are Indian farmers. How does this affect us? Well, if you peel it back a little bit, that's 68% of the world's spices that they produce in India. It's 40% of the cotton produced in the world. Basmati rice comes from India. They're the largest milk producer in the world, and they're the second biggest producer in fruits and vegetables. So it's unbelievable. Now, weren't we supposed to like that?
What you're saying, that's very powerful. The world is affected by it.
Totally.
The world should be paying attention to
cotton.
this. Yeah.
I mean, this affects clothing, in so many different things. And we were all led to believe that this new prime minister of India was supposed to be this progressive guy. He's the one behind it. Yeah, he's the one behind it. But now he's trying to sell it like this is going to be more opportunity. But what these individual farmers are worried about is the big factory farms are going to come over and take over everything. And you know what? Here's the other thing, too. And if you really want to get conspiratory here, could you weave China into this? I mean, China, is it a possibility that they have something to do with this, too, to get this protest going during COVID, to maybe lead to more deaths in India? I mean, during these protests, people are going to be close together. I don't know. But this is a big problem, and I hope they get it solved.
250 million people protesting. 24 hours? How long did they protest?
24 hours, November 26th.
How many stores were looted?
God knows.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Hopefully they... But look, I don't know much about the Indian farming economy whatsoever, so this is where I'm going to pass the ball back to Tom. He did his research. But 250 million people, that is absurd. I mean, there's how many billion? I mean, 1-point-something billion people that live in India. Mm-hmm. They're more than China, or they're passing
China?
China?
Than China. Not yet.
But they're going to pass China.
I don't know.
By
It depends on who's making babies.
What's the population? India versus China.
China's got a 300
I'm more
million
just
lead.
looking population in general.
China's got a 300 million lead, I believe.
India is 1.35 billion.
Oh, they're about to pass up China.
They're about to pass China. By when?
I mean, at this pace, it's not far off.
Yeah.
But go ahead, make your point.
No, there's no point here. It's just there's a shitload of people in India, and clearly this is affecting India. This is affecting the world. 250. That's like if every single person, an adult in America, protested in one day.
300 in the last 20 years, farmers have been affected by the regulations for a long time. This isn't a new thing. This has been going on for decades. It's nothing new. But in the last, maybe this is not a bad video for us to make, similar to a U.S.-China trade war, to make this video. I think it's actually a very good idea to make the video.
I think it will get a lot of views in India.
Yeah, no, I've been to India. We had a great time with India. Our audience, we love the Indian folks, and they're very hard-working people. And I kind of like that capitalism's helped them out a lot. They're coming up aggressively. They went from being a non-issue GDP-wise. I think they're in the top 7 right now, and climbing aggressively. And I think they can compete for the top 3 spot in no time.
GDP,
no question about it.
So between U.S.,
Brother,
China,
let me
India.
put it to you this way.
Yeah.
some of the best engineers in America are Indian.
We've got a couple here in the office.
IIT produce, of course we do. They're geniuses. IIT produces some of the best engineers in the world. There's a study that was done where they went to do market research. They went on the MIT campus, and then they went on the IIT campus to see who produces better engineers. And they gave them some basic tests. Here's a wire, here's a battery, here's this, make this light turn on. The MIT people, they don't know how to do it. The IIT is like, what do you mean? This is elementary. This is nothing to us. And they just kind of turn. So IIT produces ridiculous engineers. So India's going to be competing. In the last 20 years, do you know how many farmers, people who own farms, do you know how many of them have committed suicide in the last 20 years?
In America or India?
In India. How many have committed suicide specifically in the farming industry? What do you think the numbers in the last 20 years?
I'm going to say 200,000.
300,000 of them have committed suicide the last 20 years.
But when they're only making $140 a month.
How are you going to take care of your family? This is and by the way, you know, farmers, it's not like a sexy thing you do. You know, you're like, oh, what are we? I'm a farmer. Oh my gosh, he's a farmer. You know, nobody sits there and says sex. When somebody says, I'm in the military, what do you say? You know, thank you for your service, bro. It's all good, right?
Yeah.
When a war happens, you kind of like these soldiers to go to war. When you're getting arrested, somebody's breaking into your house, you kind of like cops. When all of a sudden the cost for what you're buying skyrockets, you're looking around getting pissed off at people, and you realize, what happened over here? Well, regulation, farmers, you're hurting them.
Yeah.
The big corp. Remember when we did that one conversation with Chad Sullivan, the owner of that, the rancher, he was talking about meat and what's going on with meat prices in America, where a handful of companies are really controlling everything, and it's forcing meat prices to go up, and you now don't know whether your meat is from America or not because they don't want to put it on there. So it doesn't say made in USA. You don't know if your meat you're buying is from China or not. Go ahead.
Even when it's says made in USA, it could just be packed in the U.S.
It's packed in U.S., but it's made somewhere else. So they're pushing for, the farmers in U.S. want to push to say that this meat is made in USA. The big companies are saying, no, we don't care if it is or not. We just will say we'll pack it in USA, but we sell it at a price. And then I asked the question, I said, how many people actually care about the fact that you know where your meat is produced? And people said, it matters to me. When's the last time you checked? And everybody's like, I never checked. That's the point. So then you start looking at ranchers and saying, these ranchers are more important. I never thought about ranchers. What does a rancher's day look like? What do they do? Listen, ranchers, farmers, these people, what they do is very, very important. And it's very sad what's going on to India. I hope, I would encourage them to not stop voicing their opinions and where they're at. And hopefully, eventually, someone's going to turn. I know it got ugly a little bit. You know, you had the government got in. You're talking about guns, and it got very ugly. If you've seen some of the riots, that's not looking good.
Well, and the other
right
thing too is
India.
you think of them as maybe a little bit more reserved or docile as far as their character and whatnot. But the passion you see in these photos with these protesters, man, this is everything to them. You could just tell. They're not going to go away. This is going to be a battle for that government to try to win.
Well, something that resonated with me when you were...
Can I make a note of it for video? I think that's definitely a video.
Given your impassioned point right there was we've learned the term... I went on the terms that we talked about when it came to work, obviously hybrid, work model, virtual, decentralized, but one of the terms that we've come to learn is essential worker.
Yeah.
Farmer is an essential worker. It's not the sexiest job unless you're going... I think there's a website called Farmers Only. I don't know how I know about that, but Farmers Only.
Oh my God.
But... check out OnlyFans and Farmers Only, but these are essential workers.
That is good.
Okay.
That is good. Hey, by the way,
you know about Farmers Only.
I've heard
coming
about
from Minnesota.
yes, of course.
Of course, I know Farmers Only.
Wouldn't it behoove us as a country to become aligned with India as much as we can, as big as they're becoming with the...
I think so.
I think so too.
Because
they're a
you
democracy. They're the largest democracy in the world.
You share a common enemy, and they have a stronger backbone towards China than U.S.
How many apps have they banned from China? 150 apps or something like that.
I kind of like.
If we're gonna go against China,
yeah. No,
good to have India on our side.
Look,